Hello and welcome. Today we're going to attempt what's probably an impossible task. We're going to try and do a tier list of all of the Souls series bosses, and this includes Elden Ring. So just a heads up that there will be spoilers in this video. Yeah, there's a lot of bosses here. So let's go ahead and get started. This list was made by Stall 5163089 zeros. Thank you again, Stall, for your hard work. And yeah, you can find this list for yourself that way. So we have our tiers. I've went ahead and added the E and F tier. We normally don't have those, as well as the Who tier, just because, hey, guess what? There's a lot of bosses, so who knows? And then, of course, Triple S tier is the best tier. Old Monk is our first one as we start with Demon Souls, and man, this is already a tough task. I don't know what to say about this because this fight can be so different, right? You have the fight is either a fight against a player and is very difficult because it's a PvP fight, or it's a fight against an NPC that is really not that difficult at all. I almost want to just have it like remove F tier and just go PvP and make its own tier, but I don't think that's necessarily fair. But I think this fight is fine. We're going to put mid-range here about C because it can be really good and then it can be really bad. So we're going to go with C tier. Adjudicator is a fun fight. I like it. I think that relatively it's a pretty easy fight, but I also think that it's an interesting fight. It's an interesting enemy. The beat the cleaver that's in its gut until it bends forward so you can hit the head is really cool. So we're gonna put it in A because I think it's a really nice fight. A for Adjudicator. Also, there's a lot of these, so if I forget somebody, I will pause the video and go look the fight up again to be able to remind myself. But for the most part, I should be able to remember everybody, I think. Old Hero is a really great fight. I like that fight a lot. It's not super complicated. It's not super complex. He just listens to you and attacks where he thinks you are. But this Demon Souls has a lot of cool boss fights that try something different, and Old Hero is one of those. And I think it's a really fun fight because of that. Storm King is also a really good fight. It's easy, right? It's not super difficult, but I think it and the Elden Ring variant are the best of the, hey, you have to use this one weapon to be able to do this. Really cool spectacle fights. Storm King is a fun fight. I don't think it stands up with some of the others, but it is a really fun fight that I liked a lot. Also, the music's great. Leechmonger is okay. I think it's a decent boss fight. I don't hate it or anything, but I also don't think it really stands out all that much. It's got an interesting arena. I think the Dirty Colossus has a better arena, but it's okay. It's not the best fight in the Valley of Defilement in my mind. The Dirty Colossus is higher than Leechmonger, I think, for the arena, but again, it kind of has the same thing. It's an alright fight. I know I could go into a lot more detail about each one of these, but do you see how long this list is? It's an alright fight. I like it. I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not my favorite by far. Maiden Estrella, you're not really fighting her. You're fighting Garl Vinland, and Garl Vinland is a really fun fight for me. I've had playthroughs where I just completely destroyed him, and I've had playthroughs where he was really difficult. So I'm going to put Garl Vinland, Maiden Estrella in A, but it might move down to B. It's a fun fight. It's just not. I think thematically it's way cooler. And I guess we could rank these thematically too. I think thematically it's way cooler. But if we're going thematically, Old Monk's going up to B because the chair throne is super cool. The Penetrator is a fun fight. That's a good fight. The archer's on the side, and you have to deal with this giant knight. It's probably the first time you're running into something like that. It's a cool fight. We're putting that in A. The Blue Dragon is okay. I barely even call it a boss fight, really. It's okay. We're gonna put it in C. It's okay. Old King Allant is a great fight. That is a great fight. I'm not a huge fan of the level down mechanic, but I think as an idea, it's really cool. And I think Old King Allant has a really nice moveset. He's a lot of fun to fight. And the remake made him very scary in a lot of ways. I think he's a fun fight. Vanguard Demon is okay. It's a tutorial boss. It winds up being reused as a regular enemy basically later. And it's a cool fight. the first time. I just think by the time you're fighting it again, it's not as cool. Uh, but most people die to it immediately and don't really get to learn the moveset until later, so it makes sense to bring it back. But King Alot, man, I don't even know if we should. King Alot's a gimme. It's a cool idea finding him like that. It's so cool, but it's a gimme. As a fight, as a boss, I don't think it really works, but it's thematically really cool. So I almost want to put just a thematic tier. We'll put it in B for the thematics, but I just realized my mistake. Penetrator's a different boss. Tower Knight's the one I was thinking of. Penetrator's okay though. Penetrator has a pretty cool fight. I don't think it's anything necessarily to write home about. The summon you can bring in there is really cool if you free him from the prison first. But the Tower of Latria. But I think he's nowhere near as cool as Tower Knight. I would get a Tower Knight. Sorry about that. Primeval Demon, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never fought one of these things. I've seen videos of it because I've never done a playthrough with pure Black World tendency, and that's just a weird thing in a lot of ways. It's okay, I guess. It really seems like a gimme. It has that one bite attack, and that's about it. We're gonna put it in D tier for Primeval Demon. Phalanx is a cool fight. Phalanx is a nifty fight. I think that where Phalanx really shines is in how weird it is. We can't have Old King Alot in A with. He needs to be an S with these. He's a fun fight. Phalanx is just a cool fight. It's figure out the mechanic, take it down, awesome. Red Dragon's gonna go with Blue Dragon. Lower than Blue Dragon because I think Blue Dragon is a better fight because Red Dragon's the one you have to shoot. It's okay. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it, you know? It's an okay fight. Armor Spider is pretty cool. We'll put it in B. Probably above Old Monk and King Alot. Getting down the hallway is the hard part, but once you do, you got it, you know? But it's a cool fight. It's a very cool set piece, too. Flame Lurker's a great fight. I like that fight a lot. I know a lot of people hate Flame Lurker because he's too hard. I really like the Flame Lurker fight. It is a really fun fight for me. Dragon God, however, is not. I think Dragon God is not a fun fight at all. I'm tempted to put Dragon God. As we go through this list, some of these will move, and Dragon God will probably move down because I really hate fighting Dragon God. It's a cool idea for me, right? Like the have to go and hit the bindings to be able to break them, but it just winds up not being fun. It winds up feeling like a chore for me every playthrough. Fool's Idol, however, I think is a really interesting fight. You go take out the guy above, and it reduces the idol healing, and you take it out. It's really cool. I think it's a really interesting idea, and the first time I saw it, I was absolutely entranced. That's such a cool idea for a boss. Maneater's okay. I don't love Maneater. I might even put Maneater in C. I think Maneater would be better if there weren't two of them, because the second one just comes in, and then you have to deal with it on a very small platform. It's a memorable fight. That's why it's not going below C, but I just don't think it's a very great fight. Nothing from Demon Souls really made it to triple S tier for me. I think there's some really cool fights in there. Storm might as we go through it, because I think I even like Storm more than Old Hero. But we'll see as we continue to move through, because I know there's some in Dark Souls 1 that absolutely will make it to triple S tier. Ornstein and Smo is a great fight. That is an incredible fight. One of the best fights in the series in my mind. I know a lot of people don't like it because you can get bad AI where Ornstein and Smo both use their big attack, the charge and the hammer forward. But honestly, other than that, I find this fight really rewarding. It's different depending on which one you take down first. Snorlax and Pikachu are just a really, really cool fight. And when I think about great fights in the Soul series, Ornstein and Smo is one of them I think of without question. I can see that. I'm fighting them in my head right now because I love that fight. And I should probably Dark Souls 1 is my favorite game in the series, so I absolutely will be biased. I cannot help that. One of the things I love most about Dark Souls 1 is how cool a lot of the bosses are. And Pinwheel's not one of them. Pinwheel is a cool idea. I like Pinwheel's design. If you go fight him when he's first available to you, he can be slightly challenging. I died to him once in a challenge run where I was attempting to fight everything barehanded with no armor, and it's the first time I've ever died to him. Pinwheel's just not a very good boss. He's a cool idea, but kind of like Vanguard, he winds up getting used later, and he's way cooler when he's used later. Nito's a cool fight. I don't love Nito like I do a lot of the other DS1 bosses, but I think it's a really cool fight. He's very Nito. He summons the skeletons. He's got a lot of cool magic that he can do, and he just looks cool. You know, we're gonna put him in A. We're gonna put him above Flame Lurker. Sif is pretty cool. I like Sif's fight a lot. We're gonna put Sif top of A. The only thing I don't like about fighting Sif, which is why Sif's not going higher, is that when you beat Sif up enough, it starts to whine and it starts to limp, and it breaks my heart. But otherwise, Sif's a really cool fight. That is a cool fight against a wolf with a sword in its mouth, and you can't ask for much more than that. Four Kings is also a pretty cool fight. I think that, like Nito, these are both probably better than Maiden Estrella and Tower Knight, but I do like Adjudicator more than... Do I? I think I do. I like Adjudicator a lot as a fight. Four Kings has a lot of cool stuff going. I don't know. Four Kings is in the void, and they have that grab attack, but there's not four of them, so they can't go. There's more than four of them if you burn them down, or if you don't burn them down. So we can't, you know. Also, I think that if your damage is not high enough, it can be a little annoying when more of them spawn in. But you can also just equip Havels and kind of just kill them. So, you know, who knows? Demon Fire Sage is all right. Put it in C. I still don't know how I feel. I think we'll put these as PvP/gimme, because they're so hard to rank. Allant and Primeval Demon, those are gimmies. Those are gimmies. You get those for free. And Old Monk's PvP. But let's do this. Let's do that, because the rest of the list is very different from these. Maiden Estrella is technically, it's not it's in PC. So, well, it's all right. I feel better about this now. Demon Fire Sage is okay. I don't think it's a great fight, but we're gonna move it down to C. It's an okay fight. It's one of the same body types as Stray and Asylum, but he's got fire this time, and I think that's kind of about it. Centipede Demon is cooler than that, but I also don't like that fight because of the arena. I know that's the point of the fight, but it can be really annoying when he just runs off past the lava and you can't really get to him. But if you can get under him, he's a really cool fight, and you can summon Solaire for him, so that's really cool. Beta Chaos is one of the worst fights in the series. It's just not good. It is just, and in fact, Dragon God, we're going to move him down there, but above Beta Chaos. Because it's just, hey, go hit this thing, just like Dragon God, except this time the floor falls apart beneath you, and the big arms of the Beta Chaos swing around and are out of your vision, so you can't see them coming. I just don't think it's a very good fight, and I don't think it's a very hot take at all. Seath is a fun fight. We're going to put him up a B. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with Curse there and with trying to deal with that. But if you figure out the trick of the fight, it's pretty simple. The hard part then is getting his tail. But I think it's a really cool fight. Stray Demon is just Demon Fire Sage, but without the fire. And with magic instead. An Asylum Demon is just Demon Fire Sage. But if we're going to do this, we're going to move these all down to here. Just above Vanguard. In fact, we might move Vanguard up above them because he's a little bit more interesting as a fight, I think. Yeah, it's just the same fight. This one you get to plunge. This one has magic, and this one has fire. Sure. Priscilla's a really cool fight. Priscilla has, like, the ability to go invisible, has the scythe, and is a really cool fight. Pretty susceptible to poison, but a pretty cool fight, and I like it. I don't think it's as high up there as others for me, and also I just don't like killing Priscilla, but, you know, it's a cool fight. Gwendolyn is a really cool fight for me. I know a lot of people don't like it because you have to run down the never-ending hallway, but you can use the pillars to be able to block the magic. Then you just run around the arrows, and it's a really cool fight. I love that hallway that seemingly never ends, but it actually can. So this is where people might hate me because this isn't gameplay-wise a huge, great fight if you know how to parry. But thematically, it's one of the best fights in the series. So I'm putting Gwen in Triple S tier. I love that fight against Gwen, Lord of Cinder. The music kicks in, and you find this desiccated old man just standing in front of the flame with a flaming sword, ready to try and stop you. And I think the fight is really cool. I really like fighting Gwen. Especially if you choose not to parry him. But, granted, if you choose to parry him, that fight is nothing. You just destroy him. So, thematically, I think it's a triple S tier fight, even if gameplay wise, it's not as strong as say Ornstein and Smo. Sanctuary Guardian is a cool fight. It's not one of my favorites. In fact, this A tier is going to get so full. Things are going to have to start moving down. It's okay, right? I think it's better than Phalanx, and I think Gwendolyn's better than Phalanx. But it's a cool fight. I think it would be a cooler fight if you didn't wind up having so many of them in the DLC. Knight Artorias is my favorite fight in all of Souls. It is the fight that made me get good, as it were. It is the fight that made me learn. It is the fight that I did almost 100 times. It is a fight that I did for 6 hours. And it is a fight that after the end of it, I will never forget. It is a fight that I loved every second of learning that fight. And, man, I can see his moveset in my mind, and I will know it for the rest of my life. I can go into that boss room now, and I can beat him reliably every time. Because I know that moveset, unless I make a dumb mistake. But I know that moveset, and I know Artorias. And that is the dance that I love to do. Knight Artorias is one of the best fights in all of video games in my mind. Dragon Calamite is okay. He's alright. I don't love Calamite. I think he's got some really cool stuff going on with him. I hate trying to get his tail. Not being able to just go fight him, having to get Goff to take him down to the sky first. That's a cool cutscene, but it's kind of a pain to have to go do that first. And it's an okay fight. I think it's better than a lot of these other ones, but I don't have as much fun with it as I do fighting Garl Vinland. So we're going to put Calamite right there. Manus. Manus is a cool fight. Manus is an S tier fight. He's got so much going on. We're going to have to make this smaller. He's got the staff. He's got the magic, that incredible bendy arm stuff going on. And it's such a fun fight down at the bottom of the world. Manus is such a cool fight. In fact, you know, Manus, sorry, Storm King. Manus is going, do we move Manus above Ornstein and Smo? We'll come back to that. Taurus Demon? Taurus Demon's cool. We're going to put him at A. He is the better version of these, in my opinion, of a boss that you fight early on that you wind up having to fight again as a regular enemy later. But the boss variant of it is super memorable on that bridge, and if you do it right, he can just jump off. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with that fight. Bell Gargoyles, alright. I think they're cool. In fact, we're going to move Taurus up here to above Calamite. That's ridiculous, but I'm doing it. Bell Gargoyle he's okay. They're okay. It's a cool fight. It's very memorable. I just don't necessarily love... I guess I'm thinking of them in Dark Souls 2 as well, which is not fair to this Bell Gargoyle. This Bell Gargoyle is a cool fight. We're going to put it above the Taurus Demon and above Maiden Estrella and maybe even Gravelord Nito. It's a cool fight. The fire and the second one coming down at half health. Moonlight Butterfly is pretty cool. It's okay. I think it's a cool fight. Where am I going to put it in A? A is getting full, man. I think we're going to put behind Taurus Demon. Because at the end of the day, Moonlight Butterfly does still fly away and have to come back, you know? All right, I think we're about to do this because we still have a lot of games to go. I think we're about to do this and work these down. That'll help a lot with A tier being so full, because A should still be like really cool fights. I think we're gonna do this for now. Capra Demon. Capra Demon is kind of like Taurus in that it's got a really memorable arena, and then later on becomes a regular enemy. But if you've played through Dark Souls 1 and gotten to Capra Demon, you know that room. That room's tiny, and you know that room. But Capra himself is not as much the boss as the dogs are, so we're going to put him behind Taurus. Gaping Dragon's a really cool fight. We're going to put it at the top of B. It looks great. And horrifying. It has a cool moveset. Maybe a little bit more health than I'd like for a boss at this stage, but what it does over the course of that fight where it slams it down and moves forward and you get to see a little tiny head. It's a cool fight. I like it. Quelog is also a really cool fight. We're going to put her in A. Above Nito, I think. No, we'll put her above the Bell Gargoyles because she's really cool. There's a lot going on in that fight. You have her and the spider and the body explosion and the lava, and thematically, it's a really cool fight. Yeah, Quelog's pretty great. Ceaseless Discharge, I wish Ceaseless Discharge was a better fight. I really do, because thematically, so cool. But it's kind of just swing and dodge the heat breath and the arms, which you can just block. Yeah, we're going to put him in C behind Old Monk, I think. Behind Penetrator, too. But thematically, he's still really cool. Iron Golem would probably be lower than S tier because of just fighting it himself. But Tarkus? And so he's going in S tier. Because watching Tarkus, Black Iron Tarkus fight the Iron Golem is so cool. So he's going in S tier. You don't like it? I'm sorry. Make your own list. The Rotten, we're in DS2. There's a lot of bosses in DS2, by the way. And then we got Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro and then Elden Ring. And there's a lot of Elden Ring bosses too. So we're going to be here for a while. Strap in, folks. The Rotten. Where are we going to put the Rotten? I'm of two minds about the Rotten, because on the one hand, I don't think it is a spectacular boss, but I do think it's very cool. I love that the little guy does the motion and the big guy does the motion, and it's really cool. The Rotten is the boss that I probably fought the most out of Dark Souls 2, because grinding it for bonfire aesthetics. To be able to get into the new game stuff, to be able to do speed runs. I think that it's cool. It's a nifty boss. I think the fire on the ground is a cool idea. I just don't think it's a very difficult boss or super interesting as a fight past the mechanic of the little guy and the big guy. So I think we're going to put it in a low A because I think it is a good fight. I just don't think it's as great. It might be top of B as some of the others. Executioner's Chariot's such a weird fight, man. It's a weird fight. It's less a fight in a lot of ways and more a solve the puzzle until you get it locked down. Then it becomes a fight, and the fight is okay. The fight's fine. I think we're gonna put it in B tier for that. Maybe at the bottom of B. It's an okay fight. I just don't think it's like the best fight. But the puzzle section's pretty cool, and I do think it's better than the chariots in Elden Ring. Skeleton Lord's a fight as well. We're gonna put it right here behind Gwendolyn. It's easy. It's dirt easy. You just kill the skeletons. But thematically, it's so cool to walk into the bone zone and get surrounded by all these different skeletons and the 3 skeleton lords sitting on their bone thrones. Thematically, it's so cool. We're going to move it up. Thematically, that's a really cool fight. Covetous Demon, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You get to be behind Pinwheel, I guess. Maybe you're more effective than Pinwheel, but what are you doing, man? You just... The only reason I ever die to you is if I'm playing around and let you grab me for the grab attack. What are we doing here? Myth is a cool fight. And Myth is a really cool fight because you can either do it where she heals or you can do it where she doesn't. If you do it where she heals, she's a pretty interesting fight. If you do it where she doesn't, she's got some cool attacks, but you're going to destroy her. And so I think we put her in B. Maybe behind Phalanx or above Phalanx. We'll put her above Phalanx. Smelter Demon. I think this fight is okay. I think it has a cool gimmick of the heat coming off the Smelter Demon, but you have to fight too much. Is that the Magic Smelter is on here? I just don't love the fight, so we're gonna put Smelter in high C. Why is C so low? Really, honestly, like Seath is a better fight than Fool's Idol. Phalanx. Priscilla is too. We'll do that. Old Iron King that's the problem with these lists, right? You'll never be happy with it. You always have to go back and fix things. Man, a DS2 fight hasn't broken B yet for me. Old Iron King is okay. The laser's cool, but the arena is really small, and I don't think the arena being really small would bother me, except because you can dodge the laser by either rolling through it, which is the right choice, or by going behind the building and letting the building absorb the laser. The problem with that is there's a hole for some reason right behind the edge of the building, and if you're not careful, you just fall into it. And if you fall into it, you don't take damage, you just die. And if you go off the platform, you don't take damage, you just die. And that ends the boss fight. So that's not cool. So Old Iron King is going to go at bottom of B, I think. It's thematically a really cool fight, but I don't like insta-kill mechanics, and I just don't like that hole in the arena. Scorpioness Najka is okay. She's an alright fight. I think she's a worse Quelaag in many ways. We're going to put her in C. She's alright. You can summon Man Scorpion Tark. That's pretty cool. The Royal Authority... Hold on. Which one of these royal rats is the big rat, and which one of these royal rats is just the little rats? Where's the other rat here? Where's the other rat? Is the other rat not here? Royal Rat Vanguard. Which one's which? Okay, the Royal Rat Authority is the big one that has all the little rats that will poison you that you have to deal with first. I hate this fight. This is one of the worst fights in this game for me. I'm putting it in E, even though thematically it's, or not thematically, even though mechanically it's stronger than both of these. I still hate the fight with a burning passion, because it doesn't feel like a good fight. It feels like kill the dogs, not like Capra, where the challenge is you're in a small room and you have to get up onto the ledge and fight the dogs off to be able to fight Capra, then you have a cool boss fight. It's just... kill the other rats really quickly before the big rat hits you, or you'll get poisoned. And I don't like it. I don't like it. Prowling Magus is also a terrible fight. That's not a boss fight. In fact, Pinwheel, get down here. That's not a Covetous, get down here. It doesn't feel like a boss fight. It feels like you just walked into a room and cleared it. I hate it. The Last Giant is okay. It's a pretty decent fight. It gives you a lot more information to go off of for the Giant Lord later. We're going to put in C. It's okay. Dukesteer Freya is a pretty cool fight. I do think that the explosion can be kind of hard to see sometimes, and the big spider legs moving can be kind of hard to see, but the laser's really cool. You can roll through it, of course, and it's just a really interesting fight, a very memorable fight. Put it above Moonlight Butterfly, because it would eat the Moonlight Butterfly. Twin Dragon Riders, it's just Dragon Riders. It's just them again, but there's two of them, and one of them has a bow that you can easily dodge. It's kind of more interesting than the regular one, but I still don't think it's a great fight. Looking Glass Knight's a really cool fight that kind of has the same old monk problem. You can get another player, or you can get just a very rough NPC, but you can also kill them as they're spawning in, so it's not super tough. And I think that the Looking Glass Knight itself is a really cool fight. Some of the tracking on its attacks is a little suspect, but I think that thematically it's a very cool fight. That's going into A for sure. Right behind Gravelord Nito. The Demon of Song, man, this is a cool fight. I don't think it's as cool as, like, thematically as the Skeleton Lords, but mechanically I think it's a better fight. And it's a Siren Demon Frog. That's so cool. The skeleton head and arms come out of the mouth. He's just like, ugh! It's great. It's great. Velstad's a cool fight. Velstad's a very cool fight. There's a lot to love in that Velstad fight leading up to the Vendrick encounter. And I really enjoyed that fight. It's one of them that I look forward to when I replay DS2. Vendrick, however, I don't think is a very cool. I think thematically he's got the same thing going on as like Gwen, Lord of Cinder, and the music is great. But it's less of, hey, here's a fight, and more of, well, he swings sometimes, and he can do a lot of damage when he hits, but I don't know, just thematically for me, it's not as strong. We're gonna put it at, I actually kind of want to put it in bottom of B. Guardian Dragon is okay. We're gonna put it at bottom of D. It's an okay fight, but he flies away so much, and you can't really get him. And when he does come down, he just doesn't have that much health. So it's kind of just an annoying fight more than anything else. Ancient Dragon is better, because it teaches you how to fight dragons in every game from then on. Just follow the tail when they fly up. But he has so much health. It's so annoying. I hate fighting Ancient Dragon. And the run-up to him is really rough. Giant Lord's a cool fight. I like Giant Lord a lot. The standing under him as he's bringing the swing down. The only thing that hurts Giant Lord and why he's not higher is because every time you go to fight him, you have to run past that rolling statue and get past all of that every single time, and that's very annoying. But otherwise, great fight. Dark Lurker. Man, Dark Lurker thematically is so cool. Dark Lurker's moveset is so cool. The problem with Dark Lurker is that you have to spend a human effigy to get to fight Dark Lurker every time you go to fight it, and you have to get through enemies to get there. And so what could be a really cool fight just becomes a chore a lot of the time. I'm going to put it right behind Giant Lord in B because it suffers from the same problem. Smaller again. Next up is Pursuer, and Pursuer I think is a really cool fight. You fight him pretty early on, and he does show up again, kind of like these other ones, but I think the arena you fight him in is really cool. It's pretty small. You can use the crossbows to your advantage, but you have to really work at it. It is a cool fight. I don't know that it's like the best of that style of you fight something and then it comes back later. We'll get into that later, but I do think it's a very cool fight. And the way he pursues you is very interesting. Scholar of the First Sin added a lot more pursuing points in a way that I think is really cool. Throne Watcher and Throne Defender, that's honestly, like, people bash on this fight, but it's a pretty solid fight. They don't have a lot of cool stuff they can do, but they can heal each other and they can res each other, which is pretty interesting. Thematically, I think that it has no weight whatsoever, but I do think it's a pretty fun fight for the most part. The Chandra, however, I don't think is a very fun fight. I think that the curse stuff is an interesting idea, but it really just winds up being, okay, well, I'm going to run in and kill her before she can curse me too much and reduce my health. And she doesn't have enough health to stop me, so I'm just going to do it. In a way that I don't find super satisfying as a boss fight. We'll put her above Priscilla, but behind Seath, because he's got a better curse mechanic. Aldia is an okay fight. It's almost a gimme. His fire magic can do a lot of damage, but it's almost a gimme, because you kind of just run in and swing while he's talking. But we'll put it at bottom of C. Man, these are terrible. This is one of the worst fights in the game, in my opinion. Sarah, Varg, and the Grave Robber. It's just a PvP gank fight with 3 enemies that you have to deal with all at the same time, and it sucks. I hate it. I cannot stand this fight. It's going straight to the bottom here. Only above Dragon God and Bed of Chaos. Dragon God, at least thematically, is cool. Alana is an okay fight. She summons in Velstadt, which, why? But she's an okay fight. I don't hate her. I just don't love fighting her either. Sin is okay. I think that Sin is either going to be one of your favorite dragon fights or one of the worst, depending on how often he's in the air. But I really enjoyed fighting Sin. I think he's a better version of Calamite in a lot of ways. But he doesn't have Calamite's cool grab, but he does have a spear shoved through his chest. So, what can you do? Sin's a fun fight. Blue Smelter is like Red Smelter, but worse. Where did I put Smelter? There he is. Fume Knight. This fight is going straight to S and may even go up to triple S. Fume Knight is like fighting, how do I word this? It's not like fighting Artorias or Ornstein and Smo, but it's like fighting something from the same cloth, right? Fume Knight is cut from the same cloth as those fights, in my opinion. Granted, if you don't take out the healing, it's very tough, but Fume Knight as a fight is really rewarding. It makes you learn the moveset to the point where you are rolling through the swings and getting in your hits, and it feels like a dance, much like Artorias. And I'm probably going to go ahead and move Fume Knight up to triple S tier. I love that fight. I understand why some people don't, especially if you don't take out the healing, but I love that fight. Sir Alan is next, and Alan is also a really, really good fight. I think we're going to put it right below Manus. Thematically, it's super cool, and if you can kill him without getting hit, he finishes himself off. It's really cool. The moveset is great. I really love that fight. I have yet to be able to pull off the kill him without getting hit. I've tried so many times, but I really love that fight, and it's not a chore to fight him. The only thing that holds it back is the time limit in the place. You have to be very quick to get to the fight because it's in a memory, but it's still a really cool fight. Oh man, okay, the pets. Ava is a cool fight. I like Ava as a fight. Ava is a great fight. Put it right above Throne Watcher and Defender. No, we'll put it above Skeleton Lord. That's a cool fight. We'll put it above Demon Song too. The it being invisible and you have to go get the item, and then the magic and the leap that you can roll and the Beyblade move it uses. It's all very cool. However, Lud and Zalin are not. We'll put them right above Saravarg and the Grave Robber, but the run up to get to Lud and Zalin takes 4.5 minutes. And if you die to them, you gotta do it again with constantly respawning enemies in between you and them. It's not worth it. I hate it. No. And I don't normally count run-ups in this. We're putting them there. But the run-up is absolutely being counted in Lud and Zalin. Dragon Rider, what are you? What's wrong with you? Who hurt you? Why are you like this? You just walk off. You just walk off, man. This is a bigger challenge than you. You stick to his left side and he just falls off the ledge. Burnt Ivory King is a really thematically cool fight. I think that the part of it is, we're going to put it above Iron Golem. The cool part, we're going to move Old Hero down a little bit too. It's a cool fight, but the cool part of it is the setting, right? The spectacle, the fire and the fire of chaos, and the army that you brought fighting the army that he brought. But his moveset is also really cool. The actual fight against him is really cool, and I like it a lot. It can be kind of annoying to have to go through the entire lead up if you die to him, but it's so cool. Then we have Old Dragon Slayer. Ornstein's a great fight, but when you fight on his own, without Flame Lurker needs to be higher. What are you doing all the way down there, Flame Lurker? Get better. Like what are we doing here? What is wrong with me? All these fights are better than maybe not this one. Man, what is wrong with me? All right, there we go. Where was I? What was I talking about? Old Dragon Slayer. Fighting Ornstein on his own is interesting, but it's not really like challenging. It's not. Why is my question? Why bring him back? It's a decent fight, but why bring him back? Why? Flexile Sentry, that's a cool fight. I like it. It's not like I'm not gonna write home about it or anything. I'm putting it top of C, but it's a cool fight where he's boom, and then the blades are in the back. It's an interesting fight, especially as the water's slowly filling up in the room. That's pretty cool. Belfry Gargoyles are okay. It's just the Gargoyles fight again, except there's more of them, and it's fun. We're gonna put them in D. They have top of D, but it's in D. Ruined Sentinels. This is a weird one to rank because I think thematically this fight's cool. I think that mechanically this fight's cool, but it's still a gank fight, right? You got to try and burn down the first one fast enough before the other two can get to you. And in that regard, it's a fight that I enjoy that I did it, and that anytime that I'm doing it, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. But then anytime I think about doing it afterwards, like if I'm going to start a new playthrough of DS2, it's one of the fights that I'm like, man, I got to fight Ruined Sentinels again. We'll put them behind Priscilla. Priscilla can go above Nishandra. Priscilla can go above Sanctuary Garden, too. Lost Center, it's a cool fight. I like the stuff with the darkness and having to deal with that and losing your lock on. It makes the fight really interesting. But moveset-wise, I don't think her moveset is all that interesting. But it's a cool fight. And finally, for Dark Souls 2, Royal Rat Vanguard. It's just a bunch of rats. You just kill a bunch of rats. Bloodborne. We're starting off with the One Reborn. Okay. I love Bloodborne. The One Reborn is like, it's like Tower Knight, except infinitely cooler in my opinion. I don't love this fight, but it's such a cool fight as it's just like and then there's the casters above. I'm gonna tell you right now, I love a lot of the Bloodborne bosses, so we'll see where they all land. Ibratus is a really cool fight. I love the head slam. I love the star magic. I love everything going on in this fight. The first time that I fought Ibratus, I didn't know that there was a memory leak. And so when I fought her, she didn't do any of the magic stuff. And I was like, man, this is kind of a lame fight. Although the head slam is really cool. It's got a lot of weight to it. So on a second playthrough on New Game Plus, when I got to her, I was blown away by how much more she could do. Very, very cool fight. Very, very cool fight. We're putting Ibratus at top of A. And Mikolash, host of the Nerd, much the same way. When I fought him the first time, he didn't use any of his magic. And so, because of the memory leak. So when I fought him the second time, whoa, okay, that's a pretty cool fight. But you have to chase him for a while before then. So we're probably going to put him above Ava. Because I think the chase is cool on a first playthrough. But on a second playthrough, man, I just want to kill Mikolash. I want him to stop laughing and howling. Murgo's Wet Nurse is an incredible fight. It's such a cool fight. I think we're gonna go above ONS for Murgo's Wet Nurse. I love the fight against Murgo's Wet Nurse. The music is incredible. I love its moveset. I love the shadow portion of it. And I don't even know how many tries it took me to get that down, but once you get it down, you feel like such a boss. That is such a cool fight. Murgo's Wet Nurse is great. Do 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 do. Amygdala, or Amygdala, as Pat says, is a pretty cool fight. It's got a cool arena. It's got a lot going on. It's not my favorite fight by far, but I think it's okay. I like it. It's cool when it fires the big beam and you have to run from it. Martyr Logarius is an okay fight. There's a lot about it that I like. Where am I going to put Logarius? He looks really cool. Sometimes you can lose sight of him on the roof, and it makes it really interesting to try and get him, but it's a really cool fight, man. We're going to put him in A and make this A tier even bigger and have to scroll down even more. Let's make it a little bit smaller again, but it's still not small enough. Next up is Gehrman. And Gehrman is an incredible fight. Gehrman is one of the best fights in the game. I absolutely love fighting Gehrman. I think we got to put Murgos in Triple S too, right? Which one of these do I like more? I think I like fighting Gehrman more. Gehrman's such a cool fight, man. His moveset is incredible. The sheer speed at which he's blitzing around that arena. It's so, and it looks so cool. Music's so good. All right. Moon Presence is a pretty good fight. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the other two, but it's a fun fight. We'll put it in A. It's got some cool moves to it. It's pretty interesting. Ludwig, the Holy Blade. Oh, man, Bloodborne has so many good fights. Yeah. Maybe right after ONS. Ludwig has fights so good. You were beside me all along. Oh, man, that fight's so good. The only thing that's kind of annoying is the slam where he jumps up because you lose lock and you have to like run. But it's such a cool fight otherwise. I love that fight so much. Then we have the Living Failures. It's a cool fight. I know a lot of people dunk on it, but it's a cool fight. I don't think it's like a great fight by far, but it's a very cool fight. Cleric Beast, it's okay. It's a decent fight. It's cool. It's tough, good introductory boss fight, right? But I don't think it's like as good. I think it's probably better than some of these, but just it's not crazy good as a fight itself. Lady Maria, the Astral Clock Tower, Triple S tier. I know. I warned you already. Bloodborne stuff was going to probably be high up because a lot of the boss fights are very, very good, and Lady Maria is absolutely one of them. That fight is so good. I love that fight. She's got such a cool moveset. It took me so many tries to take her down. Lawrence is not a great fight, in my opinion. It's got cool stuff, but then the lava, and he just starts crawling around, and that's kind of all he does at that point. And you can just use the wheel and just the pizza cutter. It's okay. I think this is the Orphan of Kos. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see with the text. The Orphan is a fun fight. I don't think it's as good as some of these other ones here, but it's a fun fight. It's very difficult, and his moveset is nuts. His moveset is insane. But little by little, you piece it together, and it winds up being pretty fun. I think that on the whole, I'd rather fight any one of these four in Bloodborne again before I fight him, but I enjoy that fight. It's thematically very, very cool. Father Gascoigne is a great fight. That's so good. Gascoigne's such a cool fight. Not as stupendous as some of these other ones, by far, but still a really cool fight. Beasts all over the shop. You'll be one of them, sooner or later. Bloodstar Beast is okay. It's all right. I like it more than Phalanx, I guess. I feel like the B category is such a mess right now of all of these different things that make these bosses pretty fun to fight, but still not. We're gonna Bloodstar Beast in B. It's okay. We're gonna move Lawrence down too. I'd rather fight Centipede Demon again before Lawrence. And the Smelters. What are they doing up so high? Get out of here. Next up is Vicar Amelia. Vicar Amelia's got a really cool fight. I like Vicar Amelia. I think I like Vicar Amelia more than both of these. But I also just don't think it's a cool fight. It's just not, it's thematically pretty cool too. The Witch of Hemwick, it's a clever puzzle fight, right? But it's not. I don't think it's as good as Phalanx and Fool's Idol. Dark Beast Pearl, don't like fighting Pearl. I think that oftentimes, and it's probably just me, I think that oftentimes the lightning can be kind of hard to get a handle on. But it's not a bad fight by far. I'd rather fight it than Bloodstarve. See, Arnhem are cool. It's an interesting fight. Not super crazy, but it's a cool fight. 3 of them. Rom is so thematically cool. Rom is a great fight. I don't love fighting the spiders to get to Rom, and I normally just run around them. But Rom's really cool. And you have to go for the belly because the head is protected and armored. It's a cool fight. Celestial Emissary, what is this fight? What are you doing? What are you doing? At least the living failures have like meteors they can summon and stuff. What are you doing? There's just a bunch of you. And when you find the right one, it just goes down. What are you doing? So we're going to run into this later with Elden Ring too, but these are some of the challenge dungeon bosses. Chalice dungeon bosses. Merciless Watchers is okay. It's the pale dudes. They're all right. I don't think they're great, but they're all right. Thumerian Descendant is cool. It's an interesting fight. Thumerian Elder is a much better fight, in my opinion. That's a cool fight. We're going to put that in A. That's a nifty fight. Undead Giant is cool because it has the giant cannon, but I don't think it's really much to write home about other than that. It can go behind the living failures. Watchdog of the Old Lords has a cool moveset, but you have to fight it in the challenge dungeons where you have half health, and it can one-shot you with the charge. And it's a really annoying fight. I cannot, despite how cool the moveset is, put it above the bottom of D in good conscience. Yharnam is a great fight. That's a really interesting and weird fight that you have to go through all the challenges to get to. And I don't even know if it's necessarily worth it, but I liked fighting her. She's got a weird, cool moveset. The Abhorrent Beast is okay. It suffers from a lot of the same problems that the other challenge dungeons do. It's all right. I'd rather fight it than Lawrence. The Beast Possessed Soul is kind of cool. It's nothing really to write home about, but it's all right. The Bloodletting Beast is okay. It has much of the same problems in that some of these are just like souped up versions of regular enemies that you've already fought. Just like the Brain Sucker is just a regular enemy that you already fought. I guess I'd rather fight it than the Covetous Demon. The Forgotten Madman he's all right. It's the problem with a lot of these. I think some of them are cool, but I don't think they're. Maybe we drop these down a little bit above Lawrence. I don't think they're as cool as some of the others. The Keeper of the Old Lords is probably the exception. He's got a cool hat. He's got a cool moveset. I like him well enough. We're gonna put him above Ruin Sentinels and Nishandra. He's pretty cool. In fact, we're gonna put him above both of these. He's pretty cool. The Laurent Dark Beast is just Dark Beast Parl again. And as I've already told you, I didn't really like that fight. So we're going to put him behind Dark Beast Parl. The Laurent Silver Beast is okay. It's all right. Where did I put Bloodletting? It is Bloodstarved Beast all over again, basically. The Maneater Boar, it's a boar fight. It's just another one of the regular enemies. Some of them I found more interesting than others. We're going to put the Laurent Silver Beast down there too. Some of them I found more interesting than others. Some of them I didn't. But they were okay. It's Chalice Dungeon fights. What can you do? And now we move into DS3. And the list is already pretty packed, but we have 3 more games to go. So expect it to just get more packed. If you're mad at me already for where things are at, expect it to just become more nonsense as we go. But I'm feeling pretty good about this, other than the fact that B is a complete cluster of cool bosses that have really long run-ups or really annoying run-ups, to bosses that have an interesting and memorable dynamic, to bosses that I think are kind of cool but aren't as good as other ones higher up and are better than some of these in C. B is kind of just a mess. It's a jumble. It's a salad of boss time. So, last here is the... cheesecake. Old Demon King? Old Demon King's okay. It's got a cool arena. It's got some cool moves. Kind of a pain to get to, but once you're there, no problem. You can back right away. It's all right. I think it's a B-worthy fight. It'd be higher B, because it's got a cool moveset. Sullivan is a fun fight. I know a lot of people don't like Sullivan because it seems like he has infinite stamina, but we're going to do this too. Above Garl Vinland. Sorry, Garl Vinland. Sullivan is a fun fight. I think maybe even better than Looking Glass Knight. I like fighting Sullivan. It took a long time to get his moveset down, but he's pretty cool. And the way the stand hits and then he hits to show you what's going to happen, pretty cool. Next up is Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. This is a really cool fight. Thematically, it's great. Mechanically, it's fun. It's not one of my favorite fights in the entire series, but I think it deserves an A tier. I'm going to put it above the one Reborn. It's a really cool fight. I should probably say at this point, Dark Souls 3 has some really great fights that I love and some fights that I absolutely can't stand. So we'll see where some of these end up. Yorm is like Storm King, except worse in my mind, because even though it's trying to go for the same thing, it's not as thematically cool, and I just don't find it as interesting. I think it's a fine fight, but I think that Old Iron King is still better. Which is unfortunate because it's cool, but I wish that I could just fight him outright. And I guess you can. It just takes forever. But Dance of the Boreal Valley is a dang cool fight. That fight rules. We're going to put her in A. Dancer's very cool. The slow movement into the fast movement, that is a really cool fight. Cyros, the Consumed King, it's an okay fight, honestly. He's got some cool stuff. Thematically, he's very cool. The charge is all right, but other than that, it's kind of just wail on it until he drops the baby and gets mad. But he's all right. I'll put him behind Skeleton Lords. Champion Gundyr. Gundyr, both Champion Gundyr and Udex Gundyr are good fights. I think we're going to put them both in B, maybe a high B. I think I like fighting them more than I like fighting a lot of the B bosses. But I don't think they're quite enough to get up to A. And I think it's a cool fight, but you do it twice. And the champion version's better, but I don't know. I think it just really needed something more to push it above into A tier. Dragon Slayer armor's okay. I think the idea of the armor still fighting after the fighter is gone is cool. The little dragonlings that help him are all right. I just don't love the fight. So we're going to put it in B. We're going to put it right about here. So maybe above Giant Lord, but behind Amelia. Lothric and Lorien is a really cool fight. I like this fight a lot. I might be one of the weird outliers on that. I think that fighting them both at the same time while they're together is really cool because if you have a big weapon, you can hit them both. You know, Lorien teleporting around while Lothric casts. It's a cool fight. I like it a lot. Ancient Wyvern it's a gimme. It's a gimme fight. I'm gonna put it above King Alot and the Primeval Demon because you have to run up that room, but it's a gimme. You just fall on him and kill him. It's a gimme. Nameless King, man. Where do I want to put Nameless King? I don't like the 2-stage boss fight that Nameless King has because of how annoying it is for Melee to take him out when he's on the bird. But I think once he's off the bird, he's got a really cool moveset off the Storm Bird. And I like that fight a lot. Thematically, it's very cool. I think we're going to put it in S. Probably going to put it above Old Hero. I just don't love the first half enough that it keeps it out of being higher up. But the second half is excellent. I love that fight. Soul of Cinder is also a really cool fight. The way it switches between movesets is very, very cool. I think we're going to put it above Storm King, but behind Orphan of Kos. While I do think it's very, very cool, I also think I might get crucified in the comments for this. I think it's kind of an easy boss once you get the movesets down. Now, it has multiple movesets to learn. Once you get them down, it really doesn't have a lot other than the combo, I guess, that you have to deal with. Get out of that combo and you're fine. But it's a fun fight. Kind of like Old King a lot more, though. And the Burnt Ivory. I think we're going to put it right there. Champion, Gravetender, and Wolf from the DLC is okay. It's like a worse Sif and a champion fight. I think we're going to put it in bottom of B above the Watchdog of the Old Lords. Sister Freed, it's an okay fight. I wish it wasn't 3 phases. I wish, like, the phases... I guess I just wish that you didn't have to do the 3rd phase. I think the 1st phase and the 2nd phase are cool. The 3rd phase just feels a little over the top for me. On the same life, you know? But I think it's a very cool fight in a lot of ways. I think we're going to put it in B, top of B. Maybe I will put it in bottom of A. It's a cool fight, and Freed has some really cool movements, and her mechanically, it's a very cool fight. I just wish it wasn't a 3-stage fight. I'm not a huge fan of 3-stage fights. In my mind, when you fight a health bar and you deplete the health bar, the boss is done in these games, except for some very specific examples like Orange Tree and Smo, where it was 2 bosses and now it's 1. But it still has the same moveset, whereas Sister Freed adds in new moves, an upgraded version of moves, and it's not bad. It's doable for sure. I just wish that it wasn't a 3-stage boss fight. Because there are times where I just go, man, I don't really want to do that right now. Whereas with all these up here, I want to fight them whenever. I love these fights. Old Hero, maybe a little high. We'll move him and Iron Golem down. Demon Prince is all right. That's a cool fight. I think thematically it's really sick. There's a lot going on with it. Movesets are very cool. They each have different movesets, and depending on which one you take out first, you get a different fight. Man, maybe we'll move it up to A. Cool fight, honestly. It really is. This is a PvP fight. Half-Light, it's a PvP fight. And I don't think it's necessarily a very good one, because unlike Old Monk, Half-Light itself is still not a very good fight. Man, I'm above Celestial Emissaries, but not by much. People love Midir, right? People love Dark Midir, and Midir is one of my least favorite bosses in the entire series. Because he has so much health. Why does he have so much health? It takes forever to kill him. You have to be on point forever. You can't slip up once. I hate this fight so much. But he's really cool. So we're going to put him straight at the top of B, and he's probably going to stay there. Because I can't stand that fight. But thematically, it's cool. Meteor's lore is cool, and you see it over the course of the fight. I just hate fighting him because he has so much health. It takes forever to kill him. Gale is very cool. Gale is a 2-stage boss fight with a lot of cool stuff going on in it. I don't love it as much as I love some of the other fights, but it is a very, very cool fight. Slave Knight Gale. Where do we want to put Gale? He's just so cool, though, man. put him above Burnt Ivory King in a lot, but we're not putting him above Orphan of Cause. Vort of the Boreal Valley is an okay fight. It's cool. We'll put him above Throne Watcher and Defender. Curse Rod of Greatwood, I really don't like this fight, but it's a cool puzzle fight with a lot going on. We'll put it at top of D. Crystal Sage, this is kind of cool fight. You do wind up fighting it again later as a regular enemy, but it's kind of a cool fight. We'll put above Cleric Beast. Deacons of the Deep, cool idea. I like the idea behind it. I don't think it's a very difficult boss, but thematically it's very cool. We'll put it at top of C. Abyss Watcher, that's a dang cool fight. That's a very cool fight. It's a multi-stage boss fight. However, you wind up with one of the Abyss Watchers on your side, kind of. He's like a purple summon. It's a very cool fight, and I find the moveset very satisfying, even if they are just Artorias fanboys. But that's okay, because I'm also an Artorias fanboy. And then High Lord Wolnir is our last Dark Souls 3 fight. This one's okay. It's thematically very cool. It's got a lot going on. I just don't love it as a fight. It's not one that I look forward to doing, you know. But break the bracelets, and he goes down. He's got that big mist attack that's kind of annoying to deal with, and eventually you'll get a wall behind you, so you have to put up with that. But it's a cool idea. I think we might put him below Yorb, towards the bottom there. Yeah, so again, Dark Souls 3, a game that I don't love as much as everybody else does, but still has some very cool fights in it. Just none of them that went into triple S tier for me, unfortunately. And I know I'll get raked over the coals for that in the comments, so tell me how wrong I am in the comment section down below, of course. Now let's get into Sekiro. Sekiro is a game that people think I hate because of that review, but I don't hate Sekiro. I really like Sekiro. I just have some issues with Sekiro. Some of which are the bosses, and we'll get into that. The True Corrupted Monk, this is a cool fight. I like this fight a lot. You can kind of get the drop on the True Corrupted Monk and take out a health bar really quick, but it's a cool fight. I like this fight a lot. It's going in A tier. Behind Aldrich, I suppose. We're going to move Dancer above One Reborn and Lothric. Do here. Ooh, Sister Freed up too. Next up is Divine Dragon. This aesthetically is a very cool fight. I love the use of the lightning. It's not a very difficult fight. It's a gimme, much like Storm King. But much like Storm King, it's a dang cool fight. And I actually think I like it more than Storm King. It's a very good spectacle fight. Owl Father is an incredible fight. I love the fight. This fight is going straight to triple S tier. It is one of the many duels in this game, which I think is where Sekiro really shines. And Owl Father, in a lot of ways for me, other than the first Genichiro fight, set the standard for what I want Sekiro fights to just be from then on. I love this fight. Having to get in past the Fire Owl, get around that, and dealing with him jumping in with the slams and the stab and having to counter that and get your hits in where you could. It's a very, very cool fight. I love the Owl Father fight. Do I love it more than Lady Maria? I think I love Lady Maria more than Fume Knight and Garamond. But I think I love Owl Father more than Fume Knight. And I think I love Maria more than Lord of Cinder, than Gwen. Garamond more than Gwen. And maybe Owl Father more than Gwen. But Gwen's not going lower than that. For now. Demon of Hatred is a boss that I can't stand in this game. For me, Sekiro is at its best when you're fighting human enemies or slightly human enemies, and just something about Demon of Hatred is such an annoying fight for me. Thematically, it's cool, but I just can't stand the slams and the fact that even when you try to parry the stuff, it's not good enough because it's a giant monster you're fighting. There's another boss on here that I hate more that we'll get into, but Demon of Hatred I'm putting in D. Because although it's very cool, I can't stand fighting it. It's gonna go above Watchdog of the Old Lords. All right, this is where I have to remember which version of each of these they are. So, Ishin the Sword Saint is the standard final boss for defying the owl, which leads you to fight Owl Father, which is one of the best fights in the game, in my opinion. This is the one where you have to fight Genichiro first each time. And I did eventually get to the point where I could beat Genichiro without taking a hit, and that's fine. But I fought Ishin for 6 hours, I think, somewhere close to that, almost as much as I fought Artorias, and I walked away from it feeling very different from Artorias. Uh, I don't like this fight, and I feel like I'm an insane person because I don't like this fight. I don't think it's necessarily a bad fight. I just wish there weren't so many phases where he has completely different move sets. It feels like you have to grind out each moveset until you learn them, and then you go to the next phase. And every time you lose, you have to go through each of the previous movesets again. And I get what they were going for. It definitely feels like a very powerful final boss. I can't deny that. So I'm going to put it at the top of A, but I don't personally like doing it. I think that thematically it's so cool. The lightning and the rain and the fire. It's so cool. I just can't stand getting to the end of that fight because of how much you have to go. And at any point, any one of his attacks, if you're not careful, can kill you because he follows them up so quickly. And then you have to fight Genichiro again. And if you take too much damage fighting Genichiro, you go into the fight with Ishin having a lot harder time. So for me, I'll put it in A because it's very cool, but I just don't love this fight. Anybody who's like, well, just get good. I beat him. I did beat him. It's not like I didn't do it. There are other fights that I like more that don't have that problem, that add to the moveset instead of completely replacing the moveset for the most part. Next to Emma, the Gentle Blade, and she's pretty cool. I like her moveset. She's not super difficult, but I enjoy fighting Emma. Even I didn't enjoy fighting Emma, but I enjoyed fighting Emma. I think that it's a cool twist that you can wind up fighting her, and her moveset is pretty solid. I think we're gonna put her in A as well, just below Ishin the Sword Saint. But after you fight her, you get to fight Ishin Ashina, and I actually like this version of the fight way more. Even though it's still a 2-stage where you have to fight him after fighting her, I think that this version of the fight is a lot more interesting because his moveset expands instead of him pulling out different weapons and having new moves in a way that I like a lot. I think this is a really cool fight. We're going to put him above Nameless King. No, we'll put him behind Nameless King, and we're going to move Storm King below Nameless King. We're going to put him above Velstadt. Genichiro Way of Tomoe is the one that you fight in Ishin the Sword Saint, and it's a different version of the Genichiro fight that only has the one phase. It's okay. I think it's my least favorite Genichiro fight in the game, but it's all right. We're going to put him at the bottom of A because it is still a fight with Genichiro, and as we're going to talk about with Genichiro Ashina, it's one of my favorite fights in the entire game. I adore that fight with Genichiro on the roof where you have to slowly work through him and figure out his moveset and everything about that fight, and the way that towards the end he starts bringing the lightning and you have to learn how to deal with that. It's all so cool. Genichiro is such a fun boss fight and was really the fight in Sekiro that, again, with Owl Father and the Shinobi Owl fight, that made me go, man, this is all I want from this game. I just want these really sick duels. And speaking of Shinobi Owl, we'll go ahead and throw that up there too, because it's also a very, very good fight. Those are all triple S tier for me. And now maybe the people that say that I hate Sekiro can see that it's not that I hate Sekiro, it's that I hate a couple fights in Sekiro, and I love a couple fights in Sekiro. I didn't fight the inners. I'm going to put them in Who, even though I know what they are, because these are from the challenge mode that was added in a later patch. I just never did that, so I don't have any experience fighting them if they're different or if they're the same. I just don't know. So we're going to put them all right there. Kyobu Oniwa, despite having a really cool speech, is all right fight. We'll put him above Calamite, I think, but below Sen. He's an all right fight. There's some cool stuff going on there. I don't think he's like one of the best fights in the series or anything, but he's all right. I like him. Lady Butterfly, however, is a very cool fight. We're gonna put her above Old Hero and S. I really liked that fight. I don't think it's as good as these two or these three, but it's still a very, very solid fight. That took me a lot of tries because I went there way too early, but very, very cool moveset. Punishing is great. The Folding Screen Monkeys fight is the puzzle fight. It's okay. I think there's some cool stuff going on with it. It took me a little while my first time, but I like it. I'm going to put it at the bottom of C because it is still just a puzzle fight, but it's got some cool stuff going on with it. The Guardian Ape. Guardian Ape's okay. It's not my least favorite fight. Headless Ape is. I cannot stand fighting this dual boss. On New Game Plus, it has way too much health. And again, I don't feel like Sekiro shines in the huge beast boss fights. And the Guardian Ape just, to me, Sekiro really shines in the duels, and it doesn't really have that in these fights. So for me, I'm going to put Guardian Ape in D, I think, and Headless Ape at C, because at least it gets a little bit more like a duel in that regard when it has the sword all snaked up. But I still hate that fight with a passion. Corrupted Monk is pretty good. It's got some cool stuff going on with it. I don't think it's as good as the True Corrupted Monk, but I think it's pretty solid. We're going to put it above Amelia. Then we get into the like league of mini bosses here. Kind of like the Chalice Dungeons. Ashina Elites are okay. They've got a cool moveset, but they're nothing like super to write home about. We'll put them above the Headless Ape. The Long Arm Centipedes are actually pretty fun fights. I think that we'll put them above the Dark Sun Gwendolyn. You just parry it all perfectly, and you can get them in one shot. It's actually pretty fun. The Armored Warrior is okay. It's an interesting fight, having to parry the whole way. I think it's a cool idea. We're going to put it towards the top of B, maybe behind the Giant Lord and the Lost Center, and Old Demon King, and the Dark Lurker. But we'll put it above Mikolesh, because it's a cool idea. I just don't think it's as fun as some of the other ones. The Shichimen Warriors, I don't love fighting them. I don't hate fighting them. It's kind of just whatever. You know, they are what they are. They have some cool stuff going on, and that's about it for me. We'll put them in C. Snake Eyes are okay. They got some cool stuff going on. We'll put them above the Abhorrent Beast. Tokijiro the Glutton and his variations, they're fun enough. It's a cool fight the first time you fight them, but they don't like just really stand out to me. It's okay. We'll put them behind the Shichimen Warriors. The Mist Noble's a cool idea. It's fine. It's a cool puzzle fight. Orin of the Water is a really fun fight. I like that fight a lot. We're gonna put her at the bottom of A. She's got some very cool flowing moves that are obviously a reference to what she is, Orin of the Water. The Sakura Bull, it's pretty, it's cool. We'll put it behind the Deacons, but it's still a, hey, it's a bullfight in this game, much like the Blazing Bull, which, it's not as pretty, so we'll put it behind Ceaseless Discharge. Shizu is all right. He's got a cool ball move that I think is pretty cool, but that's about it for him. We'll put him behind Mr. Freya. Shigenori is an okay fight. Again, nothing that I would super write home about, but it's better than Tokijiro, I think. The Great Carp Attendant, it's all right. There's a lot of fights in Sekiro that are just like, all right, yeah, we did that. That was okay. Shikakichi of the Red Guard is actually a pretty fun fight. I like his moveset. Put him above Old Monk. The Great Serpent, it's less a fight and more a gimme, but it's the best gimme, I think, so we're gonna put it there. The Great Colored Carp, it's okay. It's all right. Top of D tier. The Samurai Generals, they're okay. You fight them a handful of times. They're all right. The Chained Ogres, they're all right. They're okay. 7 Ashina Spears, those are fun fights. We'll put them above the Shichimen Warriors. The Lone Shadows, those things are tough. The Lone Shadows are really difficult. But I enjoyed fighting them. So we'll put them above the Blazing Bull for sure. And above the Sakura, I think put them at top of C. We're going to have a lot of this when it gets to Elden Ring, too. The Headless, man, they're all right. You just kill them. I don't hate them. You just kill them, The Shinobi Hunter, Inshin, he's all right. He's okay. I think he's better than Shigenori. And Juzos, you fight them a couple times. They're okay. Sekiro has a lot of great bosses and then a lot of bosses and then a couple bosses. But we're finally on Elden Ring. I've only been recording this video for like an hour and a half. The Godskin Noble. This fight is okay. He's got a really weird moveset. It's interesting. He can roll for a long time, but I like it. We're going to put him in B. The God-Devouring Serpent Rykard, I love this fight. I know that I'm insane, and a lot of people don't like this fight. I love this fight. This fight's so cool to me. A lot of people think I'm crazy right now, but I think it's the best spectacle fight they've done. It's even better than Storm King and Divine Dragon, in my opinion. It's so cool. Just that spear, it's so cool. And Rykard's sword, oh. The dragon fights are all kind of going to be the same thing. Grey Roll is the one you fight on the bridge. It's all right. It's not bad, but, you know, it's all right. The King Exikes, it's the one you fight Kaled. He's cooler, I guess, because he's got Scarlet Rot, but that's, I mean, you know. Star Scourge Radahn! Radahn is such a cool, you know what? Yeah. Radahn is such a cool fight. Just, oh, he's summoning the people and he spins around on his little tiny horse and that he loves, and the big swords and the charge in from the sky, and he's holding back the stars. I love the Radahn fight. I did it before the patch nerfed him and before the patch that buffed him. So I'm curious how he is now, but he was such a fun fight when I finally beat him. I love that fight. Mimic Tier, this is a weird one because it's just you, right? And if you don't know when you go in, you're fighting yourself, and that could be a really cool fight. We're going to put it at bottom of S tier because it was a very cool fight for me, fighting myself. But Regal Ancestor Spirit, I don't think these are great fights, but thematically they're so cool. We're going to put them in A. They're very cool fights thematically. We're actually going to do this too. The Valiant Gargoyles, they're all right, man. I don't like fighting this gargoyle boss at all, and you fight it like 4 different times as a boss, and this time you fight 2 of them. So I think we're gonna put it at top of D because it still has a cool moveset. It's kind of like the Belfry Gargoyles for me. We're like, man, at this point I don't want to fight them anymore. Fierce Champions are a PvP fight, but they're okay. They're not great, but they're all right. We'll put them at bottom of C. The Dragon Skin Soldier of Noxtella. This fight's kind of a gimme by the time you get there, unless you go really early. But it's all right. It's got a cool moveset. Astal Netroborn of the Void. This is a really cool fight. I don't love everything about it. I think that some of the moves can be really annoying to deal with his melee because it can teleport away. But I think that we're going to put it right here. I think that visually, it's a very cool boss, and what it represents is really cool, and then the moveset is pretty cool as well. I love that beam. Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, the one that you fight the gold version of him, it's okay. I stomped its face in and didn't really get a chance to see most of its moveset, but it's all right. You can see the moveset later on, so it's okay. We'll put it, it's better than Smelters. We'll put it above these. Morgott, the Omen King. Man, I'm in a weird place with Morgott because I didn't even really get to see all of its moveset because I just wrecked him first try, which is weird because I love Margit, who I also wrecked first try. But I've seen Morgott's other stuff, and it just makes me go, man, that stuff's cool. So we're going to put Morgott as the better Margit in S tier, I think. It's a very cool fight, but Margit as well. We'll put Margit in A tier because it's a very cool fight. But I think that the stuff that I've seen that Morgott can do is very, very cool. And, you know, the dialogue's not bad. Mohg is a weird one for me because Mohg has like... Mohg's arena is bugged right now, and it's a known bug where some summons, Ash summons, will just not work. So, like, I played through the entire game with Oleg, and Oleg would just draw his swords and sheath the swords, draw his swords and sheath the swords, which is unfortunate. But I do think the Mohg fight is very cool. I think finding a way around Mohg's blood magic is very, very cool. Having to deal with him. It's just the arena being full of blood fire is kind of a pain. And when he does the like pull, it looks really cool, but it means that as a melee player, I really couldn't get in on him. So maybe on my second playthrough as a mage, I'll like him more. But as it is, I'm gonna put him in A because I think he's a very good boss. I just don't love everything about him. Borealis is the frost version of the other 2 dragons. I like him more than Exikes. We should move these up, I guess, to about here. Where's the cutoff? Right behind they guys. That's the cutoff for bosses that are like, these are good, I just don't love them, versus these are bosses I'd kind of rather not ever fight again. Uh, Commander Nile is okay. He's got some cool stuff going on. I just don't love him. I also can't ever remember which one's which. Is it Nile or O'Neill that is in the castle? If I just O'Neill Elden Ring and see the images. Nile's in the castle, O'Neill's not. I think Nile is a cooler fight. And he's got the cool prosthetic. We're going to put him at the bottom of A. I just like all these other bosses more than I like Nile. The Fire Giant is a really cool fight. It's got some issues, but I think it's a very cool fight. We're gonna put it above Adjudicator, because it's also horrifying. Our Lich Dragon Fortisax is again, it's another one of these dragon bosses, but it's maybe the best version of them because it's the magic version of them. I can't even find them. Where are they? Grey Roll and should be a bunch of Elden Ring colors all in a line. Where did I put them? Here they are. It's cool, but it's just another one of these, you know. The Godskin Duo, I actually kind of like this fight. I know a lot of people don't, but I really enjoyed it. I put it right below Meteor. Malekith, this is Beast Clergyman Malekith. Does it include Blackblade Malekith as well? We're gonna find that later. For now, we'll just go off as if it's both, and if it winds up later, then it's not. Yeah, it's a cool fight. I like it. I think the second phase is way more interesting than the first phase, right? But it's a very interesting fight, and I know some people don't. I've seen a lot of talk about it online, but I think it's a pretty dang cool fight. We're gonna put it below Ebrietus, I believe. Also, I've just realized the Omen is the one you fight in the subterranean dungeon, and not the Lord of Blood. And so we're going to switch those because I think this one is far less interesting. We're going to put him in B above Yorm. I guess I love Old Iron King as well, but, you know. Dragon Lord Placidusax is going to be a different one of the other dragons because I actually really love this fight. That is a dang good fight. Placidusax is so cool. We're going to put him above Morgott. The teleporting, the big like storm cloud, you're just fighting Ghidorah, right? But with only 2 heads, and it's so cool. I love that fight. I wish it didn't have quite as big a run up, but it's a really cool fight. And in that same way, Gideon Ofnir doesn't have a lot of defense, but he's got a lot of cool magics that he can use, and it really feels like you're fighting somebody that has access to every spell in the game. It's a cool fight. We're gonna put him in A, right behind Gascoigne, I think. Hoaraloo, man, it's a weird fight for me because I love the first half and I'm not sold on the second half. I think that Hoaraloo's second half moveset is actually easier, despite the fact that it's harder to get in on him because he does that big slam all the time and he keeps knocking you away. But it's still a cool fight. It's very thematic. It's very thematically cool. We're going to put him right behind Sif. Some people can be very mad that he's behind Gideon Ofnir. Then we get into like the magma worms and the great worms, and they're okay. I feel like they're the same way that I do about the dragons. I think I like fighting the dragons more. But they're all right, you know. Loretta is a cool fight. We fight Loretta a couple times. It's an interesting fight. We'll put her in B. We'll put her behind Gyobu Oniwa, Masataki Gyobu Oniwa. Let's see, right here, the other Loretta. We'll put right there. And then the Leonine Misbegotten, the one you fight on its own, I believe, it's cool. It's an all right fight. I liked it. It's not. It definitely is not as interesting as some of the other fights that you get at the end of a spoke, right at the end of an area. But it's okay. We'll put it in B below Ruined Sentinels, which are behind Nashandra for some reason. Millennia Blade of Makella. Okay, let's talk about Millennia. I think Millennia is a really, really, really cool fight. I also wish Millennia did not heal on hitting your shield. I think that would be a good way to balance that out because you can have all your progress undone very quickly. But Millennia thematically is really cool. Millennia has a great moveset. Millennia is a very, very fun fight. We're going to put Millennia at the bottom of S tier. I really like that fight, even though I struggled with it a lot. It's a very cool fight. Radagon and the Elden Beast kind of have the same thing for me. It's thematically really cool. I love the fight. I just, as a melee player, had a really hard time getting in on the Elden Beast when it would leave, and I kind of wish it wasn't a two-stage. I think that fight with Radagon could have some more cool stuff added to it if it didn't have to be tied into the fight with the Elden Beast. But it's still a pretty cool fight. Swims away a lot, but you can eventually get it down. And I enjoyed the fight. I think thematically it's very, very cool. Godric the Grafted. It's a pretty cool fight. We're going to put it right above mid-ear. I don't think it's quite as interesting as a lot of the other ones. It's definitely not as good as Radahn, in my opinion. But it's still a fun fight. And the face transition is pretty interesting. The Red Wolf of Radagon. This is where we started getting into, like, bosses that you have to fight that kind of just feel like regular enemies because you're going to fight them later. The Red Wolf of Radagon is okay. I'll put it above Yorm. But I don't love that moveset, and you do have to fight a bunch of them later on. Renal is a cool fight. It's a two-stage where the first stage is kind of a nothing. It's just a fun puzzle stage. And the second stage, I bursted her down so fast, but she does have some really cool-looking magic. So we're going to put her above Bell Gargoyles, but behind Chaos Witch Quelaag. The Ancestor Spirit is very cool. It's not good as the Regal Ancestor Spirit, but it's still very nice, and I'm going to rank them together because they have basically the same moveset. The regular Dragonkin Soldiers, we're getting into all the mini-bosses now. The regular Dragonkin Soldiers are okay. We're going to put them behind the dragons. The Glenstone Dragons, it's more dragons. We're going to put them above Grey Roll, I guess, because they have magic. Another Magma Worm, it can go behind Theodorix. The Ancient Dragon, Lansex, it's going there. Any other dragons while we're at it? Any other dragons while we're here? Well, I'm sure we'll find more. There's sure to be many more. Look at all these mini bosses. There's a part of me that wants to just skip them all. Elmer of the Briar is an okay fight. It doesn't feel like a big boss fight by the time you get to him. He's very late in the game. I burst him down really quickly. He only killed me once. And when I was done with it, I was like, okay, I'm done with this area. There's nothing else here. There's no. It's the end. It's kind of like the Misbegotten, the Leonin Misbegotten. It's like, okay, you've reached the end of this section. That was the end of it. So we'll put him in B. Put him behind Cleric Beast. Phalanx is probably better than both of those. The Erdtree avatars and the Putrid avatar, you fight these so much. I'm gonna put them with the dragons. I actually like their moveset worse or less. We'll put them there. We'll put the 7 Ashina spears above all that as well. They go behind the Snake Eyes. The Guardian Golem. It's okay fight. I don't like it all that much, but it's all right. We'll put it above Fias and the Miss Noble, and we'll put it behind Tokijiro. The Grave Warden lists are okay. Yet again, you fight them a bunch. They're all right. We're gonna put them down with the Chained Ogre, because I do think the dragons, like the reason why Demon Fire Sage and all these are still down here when these are all up higher is because I do think the dragon fights are still better. I do think that despite the fact that you fight them so much, the Erdtree avatars can probably come down here too. I don't love fighting them. And the Dragonkin Soldiers will go ahead and drag down here too. But at least these are still interesting fights for the most part because of the arenas. Whereas these, I mean, honestly, it's just the same thing 3 times. The Burial Watchdogs, they're cool. I think if you didn't have to fight them so much and then as a regular enemy later, they'd be cooler, but they're horrifying the first time you run into them. We're going to put them at bottom of B. The Crystallion is all right. Again, you kind of run into them a lot. But they're all right. I'll put them behind Vanguard. The Clean Rot Knight. It's an interesting fight. It's fine. I don't think it's like as good as a lot of these other fights, but it's okay. Cemetery Shades, again, you run into them a lot. Bloodhound Knight Darrowil, we're getting into the jail fights. Darrowil's a fun fight. We'll put him behind Nile. I like fighting Darrowil. Doesn't take very long to fight Darrowil, and Blythe can kind of do it on his own, but it's a cool fight. The Alabaster Lord is kind of like Darrowil in that regard, and then he's got some cool stuff to him, but he goes down pretty quick. But we'll put him in B. Well, we're going to move Darrowil down to B as well, I think, and we're going to move Nile down to B as well. A is special, man. Put Darrowil right there. The Rune Bear is, man, it's just a bear, and if you mash out of the grab, it dies on its own. Not a super interesting boss fight, in my opinion. I put it above the Demon of Hatred. The Soldier of Kendrick, he's trying his best, man. He really is. But he's just not. Why is he even here? He can go with these three. The Onyx Lord is okay. I don't think it's like terrible, but it's alright. We'll put it at bottom of C. Knights Cavalry, they're a cool fight, but you fight them so much. The only one that I find really interesting is when you have to fight two, and even then, if you go at it from the right angle, you only fight one of those because you only throw one. Esger, Priest of Blood, is an interesting encounter, but I just don't find it super interesting. Like, it's a cool fight the first time you do it, and I don't know. It just... Moog is better in that regard, and that's the problem with a lot of these mini-bosses. It's okay. We'll put it in C. It's all right. The Sanguine Noble has some cool stuff going on. You know, it can go at C. It's all right. It's all right. The Tibia Mariners have such a cool thing going on with them, but you fight them 4 times, and it just by that point we're gonna move these up to here because I do think things are cooler. But by that point, it's just like, man, come on, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. Why are you still here? Why are you here just for me to suffer? That's why you're still here? The Crucible Knight, it's an interesting boss fight, but again, you fight it so much as a regular enemy that it's just like, okay, we'll put it here. I'd rather fight it than Dark Beast Park, I guess. The Clean Rot Knight duo is just 2 Clean Rot Knights at the same time. It's okay. Not terrible. Deathbird, again, fight them so much that it just... I'd rather fight the Headless than the Deathbirds. I really didn't like their moveset. The Kindred of Rot duo is just the Kindred of Rot. Regular enemy, but you fight 2 of them. It's okay. Tree Sentinel is a cool fight. I like the Tree Sentinel. We'll put him in B. He's a cool fight. Especially if you fight him before you're supposed to. Miranda the Blighted Bloom, it's literally one of those enemies, but as a boss. And so we'll put it behind the Crystallian, which is literally one of those enemies, but as a boss. Necromancer Garrus is kind of cool. He's got a little snake buddy with him. Put him at top of C. I like him. The Nox duo, they're pretty cool. We'll put them at the bottom of B. Down here above Vendrick. I like fighting, and Wolnir. I like fighting them. They're pretty cool. The Misbegotten Crusader, it's more Misbegottens. It's alright. It's alright. Omen Killer is interesting. But much like the others, it kind of falls into Red Wolf of the Champions. It's just another Red Wolf of Redagon. The Spirit Caller, this one's a cool idea. You have to fight 3 bosses back to back, basically, to be able to get it. I like. We'll put it in middle of C somewhere, behind the dragons, I guess. But put it right there. The Demi-Human Queens, it's cool the first time you fight one, but they're just the Demi-Human Queens. The Erdtree Burial Watchdog duo. It's okay. The cool thing about it that's going to make me put it at top of C, where you can turn one against the other, but it just doesn't. Crystallian duo, it's just 2 Crystallians. The Beast from Missoula, you literally fight so many of these towards the end of the game. It's all right. At least I need to move Dirty and Colossus and Leechmonger up. They're like actual boss fights. Everything from this point on is basically either I don't like it or you have to fight it as a regular enemy so much. The Thief of Fire is a cool jail, but again, burn him down. Haha. Electo. Okay, here we go. Electo's a really cool fight. The movement, Electo's so fast, and you get Tish as a summon when you kill it. And she's super cool. Electo just like leaps around. The black fire as a like health reducer and the crazy good slam. Electro was a really cool fight that you have to be really careful with. I use the word really so many times there, but it's because I'm tired because I've been recording so long now. But it's a very, very cool fight. I like fighting Electo. The Putrid Avatar is just the Erd Tree Avatar, but with rot. Where did I put that? Right here. It's worse in that regard. Black Knife Assassins are cool. Don't know why there's so many of them as boss fights, but they're kind of cool. The Carrion Knight Balls, it's okay. It's an okay fight. I think it's better than some of these. It's a giant that acts not like a giant should, which is surprising, but it also still just has the giant moveset. The Crucible Knight duo is just Crucible Knight, but there's two of them now. The Falling Star Beasts, these are actually very cool encounters. We're going to put them towards the top of B or C. I think we'll put them at top of C because they're very cool. They're just, not as cool as like Astal, but they're very cool. The Fell Twins, it's just two of them. The Godskin Apostles, they're a cool fight. I think we'll put them middle of C maybe, behind the spears, but before the dragons. Because they're interesting fights. It's just, you just fight them twice. The Grafted Scion is pretty cool. Put it above Inchin. Mad Pumpkinhead is okay, but again, he doesn't have enough health. You just burn him down so quickly. Omen Killer and Miranda it's literally just the Miranda fight and the Omen Killer put together. Well, it is. Omen Killer, man, a fight that had the chance to be like Capra Demon Part 2, right? And just, it's okay. He's got some cool moves. He's got dogs. Perfumer Trisha and the Misbegotten Warrior, it's just more misbegotten. And it's just more of them with two of them. The Abductor Virgins, this is actually kind of a cool fight because you have to fight two of the Iron Maiden things at the same time, which is pretty interesting. But again, by the time you find it, they're probably just going to drop. We're going to move the Falling Star Beast up here too. Battle Mage Hughes, it's an okay fight. We'll put it in B. Ball Bearing Hunters, they have a really cool moveset. That's why they're going to go in B. But again, you fight them 4 times. Round Table Knight Vike, he can jump up and use Fortis Axe's like lightning thing, and that's cool, but that's about it. Wormface, a very cool counter, but that's basically what he's got going for him. He's able to just, he slams down, he has that death deal, and it's cool, but it's not like nothing super to write home about. Ulcerated Tree Spirit, I called it a desiccated Tree Spirit before. It's an okay fight. Their grab is kind of annoying, and you can't really see it coming sometimes because it can go into the walls, but it's got a cool move. Astal Stars of Darkness is Astal, the Natural Born of the Void's younger brother, but it's still a cool fight, and it looks interesting, so we'll put it at bottom of A. Crucible Knight Sluria is, yet again, it's an okay fight, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not anything to, it's an okay fight. The Demi-Human Chief Duo, it's them, it's the Chiefs. It's a pretty cool fight in that you have to deal with two of them at the same time with a bunch of little ones. We'll put it above this. No, we'll put it behind the Centipede Demon. But it's all right. The Putrid Crystallian Trio, it's just them, but with rot. And so, you just kill them. The Big Falling Beast, this one's actually pretty cool. This is the one you fight on the top of the mountain of Mount Gilmere. We're going to put this one a little bit higher up in A. We're going to move Electro up to here. And this one to here. It's pretty cool. I like it. The Stray Mimic Tier is just the Mimic Tier fight again. But you already know about it by this point. So it's whatever. The Spirit Calling Snail, the Godskin version, it's just like the other. It's cool. We'll put it behind the gods. We'll put it behind the Corrupted Monk. Corrupted Monk should probably be higher. Corrupted Monk should probably be like right here. The Magma Worm, it's just the Magma Worms, but without names. There's the Crucible version of the Calling Snail. Where did I just put the other? I'm losing it. We're in this so deep now, I'm losing it. Where did it? That's way too high. That's not where I wanted to put it. right there. Godfrey the Grafted is you fight Godfrey again. The Grafted, you just fight him again. His moveset's the same. The Putrid Grave Warden Duelist, it's just the Grave Warden Duelist, but he's got Rot now. The Tree Sentinel Duo is 2 Tree Sentinels. It's cool, but it's not as cool as fighting the Tree Sentinel the first time. Draconic Tree Sentinel, it's just the bigger version of the Tree Sentinel. He's got more stuff now, but it's still not as impressive as that first Tree Sentinel fight, in my opinion. The Deathrite Birds, it's just Death Birds, but with death abilities now as well, and magic and stuff. Stone Digger Trolls, just Stone Digger Trolls, 2 of them. Crucible Knight, the Misbegotten Warrior, it's more of just the Misbegottens. Scaly Misbegotten is probably the worst one of the Misbegottens, because why are you even here? You might as well not be a boss at all. Put you behind Pinwheel. Patches goes down so quick it's not even funny. It is kind of funny because he surrendered, but he's an all right boss fight, I guess. The Ancient Heroes more, it's cool, but it's more of this basically. Commander O'Neill, he's okay. He's not as cool as Nile. Kind of annoying in a lot of ways, but you can kill him super easily by just walking out into the Scarlet Rot. We'll put him at the bottom of C. The Flying Dragons, they're all right. It's just more dragons. Same exact moveset as the other dragons. We'll put Grey Roll higher than that because at least he's got a name. And the Black Blade Kindred, it's just the gargoyles again. So, yeah. Unfortunately, the list kind of falls apart when you just get into the mini bosses, but let's go over it real quick. Just give it a quick view, see what we think. We've been at this for forever, but I think that it's been a fun time going back through all these bosses. All of this is nonsense. C and D are complete nonsense. There's so many. I don't even know where I would rank a lot of these, because each fight is different. Like the first Mariner fight is really cool, so maybe I would rank it higher. But then the last one is not cool at all, so maybe I would not. I don't know. It just this is a mess with mini bosses. But from B up, I feel pretty good about it. There's some good stuff in here in B. And then from A up, I really like this list. The Ancestor Spirits are maybe a little too high for how easy their boss fight is. But they are very cool. And then, let's see. Electo could probably go above the Demon Prince, and so could Genichiro. But I'm feeling pretty good about these. These are good fights. And then the S tier, these 3 should be up top, and they are, and they're very good. Maybe we'll move. Yeah, we'll leave it like this because I do have my issues with these 2. Yeah, no, these are all very good fights. And then triple S tier, it's basically perfect the way it is. Maybe move Fume Knight right here, but it's such. Oh, these are so good. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Where would you put these bosses? I'm sure your list would be very different from mine. But until next time, I've been Trey. Go ahead and destroy me in the comment section. We've been the Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the Full Spectrum the Soul series has to offer.